I wish to call to order the September 13th meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. I will note for the record that all three commissioners are present here in the Nat U Hill Room. And we will start with our public statement. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear. And we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC. And we have a proclamation for today. Julie, will you lead us off here? Commissioner Thomas, sorry.
That's all right.
Too casual.
I'd be happy to. This is a proclamation for Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is celebrated each year from September 15th to October 15th as a time to recognize and celebrate the many contributions, diverse cultures, and extensive histories of the American Latino community. The month also celebrates the Independence Days of several Latin American countries, including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua on September 15th, Mexico on September 16th, and Chile on September 18th.
This year's theme is building prosperous and healthy communities, something which we strongly support. From the earliest days of our country, the United States has been enriched by the contributions of Hispanic writers, scientists, soldiers, doctors, nurses, caregivers, entrepreneurs, academics, and leaders. We wish to honor Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and other Latino activists who in 1962 led the effort to defend the rights of farm workers seeking better wages and working conditions.
And we celebrate Sonia Sotomayor, who in 2009 became the first Latina and only the third woman to serve on the Supreme Court of the United States. During Hispanic Heritage Month, we reaffirm our belief that diversity is one of our country's greatest strengths, and we seek to broaden that diversity in Monroe County. Now, therefore, we, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2023, as Hispanic Heritage Month in Monroe County, proclaimed this 13th day of September, 2023. And we have a dedication, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Jones to kick us off with that.
This is Judge Viola or Vi Taliaferro plaque dedication. Good afternoon or morning. The Monroe County Board of Commissioners is assembled here today to formally recognize the life and work of a truly extraordinary person, Judge Viola Vi Taliaferro. It is in Judge Taliaferro's honor that we dedicate this plaque. It will hang in the Monroe County Courthouse in perpetuity. Now, it's worth noting that Judge Taliaferro had already lived quite a full life well before she embarked on her legal career. She earned an undergraduate degree from Virginia State and a master's from Johns Hopkins. She worked in education, first as a supervisor of admissions for the Tuskegee Institute, and later as an administrator at Howard University Medical School. She also served as a public school teacher and an administrator in Baltimore. She was a wife and the mother of 4 children. All that, and then she came to Indiana University. She graduated with a law degree in 1977 and hit the ground running. She practiced family and criminal law in Monroe County, and by 1989, she was named a Monroe County Circuit Court Magistrate. She went on to serve as a Monroe County Circuit Court judge from 1995 to 2004. Judge Taliaferro was Monroe County's first African-American judge and a trailblazer in many other ways.
During her tenure, Judge Taliaferro completely reshaped the local juvenile justice system. As far as we can tell, she was the first judge in Indiana to approve adoption for non-married same-sex couples. And as a juvenile court judge, Judge Taliaferro brought a firm kindness to the work she did. One local attorney who had worked closely with her recalled that, quote, she believed all children should be heard and that there was always a story behind why they had run into trouble, unquote. When Her Honor dealt with young people brought before her, she would often tell them that they were good kids who had done something bad. As Judge Taliaferro once explained, I think children are our greatest assets and our greatest resources. And clearly, she did believe that.
Leading by example, Judge Taliaferro inspired those she encountered in and out of her courtroom to do their very best in this life. As a result, she earned countless honors, including Bloomington's Woman of the Year, the Liberty Bell Award from the Monroe County Bar Association, and many, many more. An honor in and of itself, still other awards are now given in her name. Sadly, she passed away on June 12th of this year at age 94. But today, with our formal dedication, we hope that all who pass by this plaque will remember the Honorable Judge Viola Vi Taliaferro and her devotion to the well-being of children, her tireless service to others, her kindness and empathy, and her tough but fair sensibility. She made an indelible mark on all of Monroe County, and we are truly grateful that she chose to live and work in our community.
And we will be hanging this in the court, in the Justice Building soon. But we wanted to do this today because today would have been her birthday. And so we wish to honor her with that. Moving on, let's go to department meetings or department updates with, is Lori Kelly with us? There she is. Good morning.
Good morning. So just a few updates. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices voted yesterday to approve the latest COVID vaccine for all those 6 months and older who choose to be vaccinated. The updated vaccine is targeting Omicron variants. The Indiana Department of Health will be providing flu shots and COVID rapid tests at the Bloomington Community Farmers Market this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. COVID vaccines will not be available at this event as they were just recently approved.
Questions or comments?
No, I'm just very pleased to hear that they're making this available at the market.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Thank you for doing that. I have a question about the wastewater testing and how it's going and where people can find the data that's being developed from that.
Sure. So the most recent data does show that the wastewater concentration levels are still trending upwards. The Indiana Department of Health on their main website has a dashboard, and I will be receiving information on a weekly basis from Dr. Greaves. That has not happened just quite yet, but I do anticipate that beginning in the next couple weeks. But for now, the Indiana Department of Health has all of that information available.
Right. Thank you.
And do we have any numbers on RSV locally?
I do not have those numbers today, but that is something that I could check into for you.
Thank you. I know that there's vaccines coming out for that as well, so I think that's important. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Are there other departments that have updates today? I have an update for folks as a commissioner. We have been listening to people with regard to the corrections campus that we're looking at and the location of where it might be. So we are going to hold 2 public listening sessions. The first on Wednesday, September the 20th at 6:30 p.m. at Summit Elementary School, and the second at 3 p.m. on September 24th at RCA Park. And these are open to the public. We will say a few words. We'll have other elected officials there with us as well, and we'll be inviting a number of others. And we want to hear from the community about the location of the jail. We'll share things at that time. Do either of you have more to add to that?
Not at this time.
No, I will note that Ms. Goodlett from Habitat for Humanity has offered to provide a Spanish interpreter, which is wonderful. So I appreciate that help in helping to get the word out.
Yes, yes. I think that's important. Okay, at this point, we'll move on to public comment. This is for items not on our agenda. We ask that you limit your what you have to say to 3 minutes, and if you wish to speak, please identify yourself, first and last name, and whether or not you're a Monroe County resident. That includes virtual as well as in person. Seeing none, let's move on to approval of the minutes.
I move approval of the minutes for September 6th, 2023.
Second.
Is there any corrections or additions?
No.
I didn't either, so call for a vote on approval of the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of the claims docket, accounts payable September 13th, 2023.
Second.
And Mrs. Miller, good morning.
Good morning. The accounts payable claims docket for September 13th, 2023 totals $7,013,656.17. This includes all emergency claims and adjustments.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
None.
This is a lot of transfer of money. Again, it's not that we spent over $7 million this week. Yeah. So is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on approval of the claims dockets for accounts payable September 13th, 2023. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. I will note for the record that there are no reports, so now we'll move on to new business.
All right. Move approval of the CARES Board check disbursement to 2023 grantees. The fund name, Drug Free Community, Fund Number 1148, in the amount of $43,500.67.
Second.
And we have Mr. Malone here, I believe, to talk to us. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm here to receive several of the checks, and I believe several of our grantees are here also to receive their checks this morning too. So, and I know they're supposed to go down and sign for them at DENA, correct? Okay. I'm learning after about 20-some years. I'm learning this, yes. So thank you for your support. We just wish there was more money to hand out and approve for all our grantees, but we do our due diligence to make sure that those that abide by what we ask get funded as much as they possibly can. So thank you.
If you have a copy of the grant awards, would you share that with the public, please?
Or I can.
Or or Ms. Purdy has a copy too.
So Drug Treatment Court, which I oversee, is receiving $2,000. Monroe Circuit Court Probation, Community Corrections for journals, they're receiving $1,300. New Leaf, New Life, 2 grants for grants inside the jail and outside the jail are receiving $4,900 each. Then we have Amethyst House, also from the Men's and Women's House, are receiving $4,800 each. Courage to Change for housing is receiving $4,600. Beacon with Forces here is receiving $4,900. And then finally, the Indiana Recovery Alliance IRA is receiving $5,000 as far as grant is concerned. Then the board is receiving about 10% for operating cost of $6,000.
And just for the public's information, you divided the rest of that equally between treatment, justice, and prevention, so that this is spread across multiple
Correct.
platforms.
We actually, several of the grants are in treatment prevention and We separate it out as much as we possibly can to give each category the 25% we're required to give, and that each grantee gets as much as they possibly can, so we can divvy it up as evenly as we possibly can. It's a difficult process, and the Excel spreadsheet sometimes does not cooperate with us. But for the most part, I think we've done a really good job as far as handing out grantees. And we had 11 applicants this year, 9 receiving grants. Two of the grants fell below our cutoff level as far as the 80-point threshold. And we always make sure that we hand out our grants to what's evidence-based practices, because the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute requires us to do so. So we do our due diligence where that is concerned.
Excellent.
Did that explain what you needed me to explain?
Well, I mean, we read our packets, but
Right.
I think that it's important to share information with the general public
Correct.
as well.
Thank you.
So that's why, yeah. Ms. Purdy, did you have something to add to that?
She was gonna go if people sign.
Oh,
She's
wow.
prepared.
So we can record that they got them, yes, okay. Questions or comments from my colleagues? Go ahead, Ms. Purdy. Do they want to, how do you want to do this? Do you want to do this right here?
I will. Okay. I have, CARES board. Thank you. I've got mine. That's all. That's all.
You want to announce
Oh,
that
that's
one?
New Leaf, New Life. Is here, correct? So $9,880 total for both grants. Okay. Next. I think Mark's belongs here for Amethyst House for $9,600 total for both men's and women's house. Yep, thank you. Courage to Change for $4,600. Okay. Beacon, Forrest is here, yes, for $4,900. And last but not least, I don't know that they're here, the IRA for $5,065. I think we got a letter kicked back, the email and or the letter got kicked back to us, so I assume you all will work with Dina to make
We'll
sure that
find them.
they get that check.
I've got their
Yes.
contact.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
for coming out today. So, you vote on that?
Nope.
Okay, so all those in favor of the CARES Board check disbursement to the 2023 grantees signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Next item, please.
I move approval of an Ivy Tech facility rental agreement.
Second.
And Ms. Kelly again.
Good morning. So this is just a rental agreement. Ivy Tech is allowing us to use this space at no charge. It is to host a Stop the Bleed training. The event is scheduled on November 4th, and we just need this agreement to be approved in order to be able to use the classroom.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Questions or comments? Sorry, had mine.
No, I don't know if TSD can make the audio louder in the Nat U Hill room. That would be great. Thank you.
It's at least for the people who are virtual. Thank you. Yes, this is a safety training course, so I thank you for arranging this. Is there public comment on this? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote on the Ivy Tech facility rental agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of a new contract number for strengthening prevention and control for health grant, fund name STD Strengthening Prevention, fund number 8112, in the amount of $170,000.
Second.
And again, we have Ms. Kelly.
So this is just another grant award. This helps to support our STD program. This allows us to provide supplies, cover mileage costs, equipment, and personnel. This is just a second grant award. It is a new contract number. Previously, the other contract number was voided, which is why you are seeing this come through again.
Yes, we saw this on May 24th. So, any comments or questions?
No, I don't.
None? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on the new contract number for strengthening prevention and control for health grant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Next item,
Thank you.
please.
I move approval of matrix integration for Sheriff's Reserves Building, fund name Cumulative Capital Development Fund, fund number 1138, an amount not to exceed $5,400.
Second.
And we have Mr. Crone here. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Back on, I believe it was August 5th, we'd actually approved an agreement with Matrix to get this internet connection going to our reserve building. We were quoted $2,700 for the scope of work. The work has began, and once they got into it, realized it was going to take more labor hours to get this configured successfully than they had originally estimated. I wasn't completely shocked at this. The previous contractor who'd set up the old system out there ran into a multitude of problems, and we never had access to be able to communicate to the reserve station from our core. We could only communicate one direction from the reserve center here. So we're trying to get all that addressed, so I'm not surprised that they run into a little more difficulty than they thought. So the original agreement was canceled, and we're coming back now with another agreement for not to exceed in the amount of $5,400. They're anticipating not going that many labor hours and keeping the cost around 36, but it will cap out at 5,400.
Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
Thank you for working on this. Appreciate it.
I'd like to point out too that the reserve deputies donate their time, they raise money for their vehicles, their uniforms, their equipment, and so, and they really provide an incredible service. So I think this is, I'm fully in favor of supporting them in this way.
And they've been having to come into the sheriff's office to use the facilities there in order to do their records and all the getting in their body cam videos and everything like that. So this has really slowed down their process and put an extra burden on them that it's unfortunate because they do provide a lot for us with very little coming back to them, and I appreciate everything they do.
I do too, yes. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on matrix integration for Sheriff's Reserves Building. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you, Mr. Crone.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
I move approval of Rich Fig Appraisal Services, fund name Edit Ban, bond anticipation note, fund number 4816 in the amount of $3,000.
Second.
We have Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, and the packet says that I would have had a formal quote from them, but I have not received that. However, this is the kind of second quote to look at the area off Strong Drive that would allow better vehicle access to the Thompson site. As you know, we own the 90 acres on the Thompson site, and that access to that has been an issue. This would be, we were exploring purchasing this piece of property. We've already approved one appraisal with First Appraisal Group. This would be the second appraisal for that. So I would like for you to go ahead and approve it, and then once we get the formal documents, we'll have it signed after our office has reviewed it.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
None. Thank you.
I'll note for the record that we are required, if we're anticipating purchasing property, to get to appraisals.
Yes.
So it's not something that we're just doing flippantly. Is there public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on the Rich Fig Appraisal Services. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
I move approval of agreement with Sean Patterson Appraisal Services, fund name Edit Ban, fund number 4816 in the amount of $4,710 for the appraisal, $250 per hour for witness component.
Second.
Mr. Cockrell again.
I would just note that the edit ban and the fund number is incorrect.
Oh.
This is part of this service is for, we are looking at acquiring some additional real estate for a right-of-way for our Vernal Pike Connector project. So the fund name is most likely going to be the West Side TIF
Yep.
Fund. 4920 is the fund number. We are working with our attorney, Yasmin Stump, to get the documentation for this. And so they're working with the vendor for the amounts. And so again, much like the previous one, that just hasn't come through yet, but we would still like to go ahead and move forward with this agreement.
So we need to,
No, just,
do we need to formally change the fund name and number?
I think if you guys are willing to have a consensus that change can occur,
yes,
I think that's adequate for the
Agreed.
minutes of the meeting.
Great, okay. Any comment or questions on this item? Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, a call for a vote on Sean Patterson Appraisal Services. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Next item.
all right. I move approval of Salt Creek Township Board determination of membership.
Second.
May I have again Mr. Cockrell?
This one will take me a little bit longer to explain as it is fairly convoluted. I did work with the representative of the Indiana Election Division to kind of work through this issue. The last election, there were two people who ran for the Salt Creek Township Board. And they both won the election. That is a 3-member board. And so of those 3 members, the law allows for a holdover candidate to occur based upon, not electing enough. However, there were 2 people who had been eligible for the holdover election, Mr. Hogan and Mr.
Cunningham.
Mr. Guy Cunningham. I remember Guy. Mr. Cunningham were eligible for that holdover position. The statute indicates that the auditor is to give notice to the commissioners about the need to make a determination. That actual statute has a deadline of December 31st of the year. And that's where we were kind of getting confused. And so when we reached out to the IDD, there is a second statute, Indiana Code 313-1120, that apparently this has happened before, where that election issue is not caught, and it says the commissioners don't lose their power if it fails to meet that December 31st date. I think the commissioners and the auditor were made aware of this a few weeks ago, and so we went ahead and held this and noticed this meeting to the commissioners. And so the question before you is, which of those 2, Mr. Hogan or Mr. Cunningham, you want to have as the holdover candidate? Now, if whoever you choose decides they don't want to do the job, or they can serve, or if they decide they don't want to serve, then they would resign, and then it would go through the normal caucus procedures as outlined in the statute, which we've had enough of those in the last few years. I think we're all familiar with.
So at this point, do we need a motion for who we wish to have as the holdover candidate?
A motion, or you guys can discuss between the 2 which one you want and then make the motion. But at the end of the day, a motion of one of the 2 and then a vote of that motion is what we're looking for.
Recommendations here?
No, I can't say that I do have any.
And you had a conversation with?
I haven't had a conversation. I've gotten the contact information, but I didn't want to have a conversation until this board had discussed it. I know that Trustee Joan Hall had reached out to Steve Hogan, who indicated he was not interested in serving. And so
Okay.
I would like to nominate Guy Cunningham as the holdover candidate, and then we can reach out to Mr. Cunningham to see if he's willing to step into the role again. I know that he served for many years as on the township board out in Salt Creek. So if we approve that and he decides not to assume the role, then we'll ask that a new person be caucused in. So do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion? Is there any public discussion on this item? Seeing none, I call for a vote on nominating Guy Hall as the holdover candidate. Not Guy Cunningham, thank you. There are several halls that are out there that serve, and we're very grateful for them. So call for a vote on naming Guy Cunningham as the holdover candidate for the Salt Creek Township Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0, and we will reach out to Mr. Cunningham. Next item.
I move approval of NDOT project coordination for Rockport Road Bridge 308 replacement. Fund name Rockport Road Bridge 308, fund number 8166. An 80% amount from NDOT, $1,328,640, and Monroe County share $332,160 for a total of $1,660,800.
Second.
Ms. Ridge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is pretty routine. This is just so we can do project coordination when we go to construction. I believe it's a fiscal year 2026 for this project. So we're required to get the contracts in place moving forward.
Comments or questions?
You answered my question. Thank you.
That was just the split for the dollars, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, call for a vote on the NDOT project coordination for Rockport Road Bridge number 308 replacement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. And I will note for the record that replacing bridges is much more expensive than paving.
Absolutely, and I'm sure this price will probably go up by fiscal year 2026. so.
Whoa.
Sure it will.
Next item, please.
I move approval of Beam Longest and Neff LLC supplemental number 2 for Rockport Bridge number 308. Fund name Rockport Road Bridge 308, fund number 8166. 80% NDOT, $16,160. Our share, Monroe County share, $4,040 for a total of $20,200.
Second.
Again, Ms. Ridge.
And this is a supplemental for the additional engineering services following design of this bridge. One is adding right-of-way engineering, adding forested floodway habitat assessment. So it's actually do an assessment on the habitat features in the area for the project and see how they're impacted. And if there's any adverse effect on that, then a plan will have to be developed. And then also the local floodplain development permit.
It's a lot. Questions or comments?
No, I don't.
None. Any public comment on this item? Seeing none, a call for a vote on the Beam Longest and Neff LLC supplemental number 2 for Rockport Bridge number 308. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. We have no appointments. I want to thank everybody who turned out for Paint the Town Purple last Friday. It was the largest celebration that we've had in the, I forget, there's 7 or 8 years that we've been doing this. Again, there's free COVID testing available at the Monroe County Health Department, and it was encouraging to hear that they're going to be out at the farmers market this weekend as well. We are still accepting applications for certain boards and commissioners, and we continue to have our virtual office hours. You can find those at the website. The next blood drives out at Ivy Tech are Wednesday, October 18th from 10 to 3, and Thursday, October the 19th from 1 to 6. I'll remind you that you can sign up for the county alert notification system. That's for all weather and health related emergencies. You can sign up at co.monroe.in.us. The Monroe County Commissioners and Monroe County Council have extended the assistance fund for county residents who meet income requirements to help them with paying rent or utilities. If you are in a situation where you need that support, please contact your township trustee. Every resident of Monroe County has a township trustee. And as a reminder, again, that we are holding listening sessions on the site location of the Corrections Campus. The first will be September the 20th at 6:30 p.m. at Summit Elementary School. The second will be September 24th at 3 p.m. at RCA Park. We invite the public and elected officials to join us in this listening session. And as Commissioner Thomas noted, Wendy Goodlett of Habitat for Humanity is arranging for a Spanish interpreter to join us that day, which I think is an incredible thing. Any other announcements? We do have a couple of items on our work session. It's 10:38. When should we return? 10:50 is fine. 10:50? Does that work? Okay, we'll see everybody back at 10:50. The meeting is adjourned, and we will be back here next Wednesday, September the 20th. Thank you.